Julie and Heather to see where if Rich is lost. Yeah.
Rich?
Rich. Done.
Okay, Rachel, we are now live on YouTube.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay. Ron, you are ready to start.
Okay, ready? Okay. Ready, Michael?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay?
This is Dave Taylor, yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you for your patience. We'll go back on the record. Michelle, give me a thumbs up if you can. Of course, I can't see her now. Michelle, can you hear me?
Who's Michelle?
Was that for us? I think that was for somebody else.
I'm
ready.
not a problem. Not a problem. We'll go back on the record. I believe that.
Okay, I think he was speaking to somebody else and was on mute, not on mute. Welcome to our virtual meeting today for the Utah Division of Parks and Recreation Off-Highway Vehicle Advisory Council. Let's see, what would be the best way? Maybe, Rachel, could you maybe call out the names of those who we expect to be on this call so we can take a roll call rather than us just trying to figure out who should say I'm here next?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and start. I'm my name is Ron Tolman. I'm the council chair this year, and I am the full-size four-wheel drive rep on the council.
Eric Nelson.
Hi, I'm Eric Nelson. Sorry about that. I am the dealership representative.
Brody Johnson, ATV representative.
The council chair this year, and I'm the
Cliff.
Cliff Kuntz at large rep.
Scott Wheeler. Oh. Dave Taylor. Dave. Kirk Chester.
Kirk Chester, snowmobile rep.
Thank you. Tyson.
Tyson Todd with the Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration.
Okay. And Evan. Yeah. Evan Glenn. There you are. Okay. Dave Taylor, are you here? Okay. Ron, you can proceed if you'd like. Dave was on the call earlier. I don't know if it dropped out, but if you would like to proceed.
Okay, and then Rachel, would you tell us there were 3 council members that were excused from the meeting today and that submitted scores electronically? Can you just let us know who those were so everybody's aware?
Yes. So Scott Wheeler has submitted his scores. Bradley did as well. And then Tommy and Cheryl did not submit any scores, but she has COVID. So I think she's excused from doing so. So those are the 4 people that are currently absent right now. 3 of them have submitted their scores.
Okay, thank you. And then we also have, of course, Rachel.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Here, and then Chris Haller is in the room there as well.
Correct, yeah. I'm Chris Haller, Utah Division of Parks and Recreation Off-Highway Vehicle Program Coordinator. If I can take just a second, Ron. Evan Glenn, who is on the call, I just want to let each of you know that he is the Bureau of Land Management liaison for the Advisory Council.
And I am Rachel Toker. I am the OHV Program Grant Administrator for state OHV grants.
Great. Well, welcome. Before we get started on our action items, Chris, did you have anything you wanted to start with, or Rachel, before we get into approval of the minutes?
Yeah, this is Chris, and thanks for the time, Ron. I'd like to welcome each of the advisory council members for joining us tonight, and also to the public that is probably streaming us live on YouTube. And we apologize if we've started a few minutes behind schedule. That's been some unforeseen mishaps, but we are scheduled to proceed within our agenda, and want to give thank you for each of those listening and watching in this evening.
Great. Thanks, Chris. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes that were emailed out with this agenda.
Sounds like Brody's entertaining the motion. I'll second it.
I do. Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any on the line that are opposed? Okay. So the first item on our agenda, other than the minutes, of course, is a review of the quarterly fiscal year 2021 FIG grant proposals, fiscal initiative incentive grant proposals. We're going to have Rachel kind of lead us through that and take us one by one through them. And then I think, as we've done in the past, we'll give our rough scores, our rankings of each one, and then we will, after we're done discussing all of them, we will then take an action item of approving or not those grants. Rachel, go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hi guys, so this is for the fiscal year 21 quarter 2 October fiscal incentive grants. We received 9 fiscal incentive grants totaling to a requested $87,181. We have received, as I stated earlier, we have received scores from Scott, Tommy, and Bradley on these. So to start us out, the first grant that we have is for the 360 OHV trail mapping of the Sandpitch Mountains, submitted by Sanpete County Travel and Economic Development. They're requesting $6,300, total project estimation of $7,000. So ultimately, they want to create 360 trail mapping for approximately 115 miles of OHV route on the Sandpitch Mountain Range. The applicant is will be following the existing structure that the Utah State Parks and Recreation OHV program has already established. It seems as though their timeline is for the end of July 31st, 2021. I did not notice any issues with this application. And based off of their prior applications, seems as though they get their work done. So does anyone have any questions or concerns regarding this application that they'd like to discuss?
I have a question. This is Brody.
Okay.
Was this going to be where we were going to ride? And
Yes, it was.
okay.
Yeah, we were going to ride in this area. And I believe Kevin Christensen was going to come out and meet us and actually pretty much guide us as well. But yes, I'm also going to share my screen with you guys, just so you guys can see, the scoring sheet. So let's do that. Any other questions? Ron, would you like to proceed?
If there's not any discussion or questions on this, let's go ahead and give our rankings. I think it would be least chaotic if Rachel, if you could read off the names of who you want the score from, and like last time, let's maybe go in a slightly different order each time so that we don't have the same person always having to share their opinion first.
Okay, great. All right, I'm going to start at the beginning right now, but then I will switch it up. Brody.
5.
Okay. Kyson.
5.
David. Dave Taylor. Cliff.
4.
Eric.
5.
Kirk.
4.
And Ron.
4.
Okay. So that one passes for 3.9 rating. That is without David's score. I don't know if he just cannot hear us right now. But I guess we could move on. All right. So the second application that we have is for the surrounding Big Ridge Trail System OHV signage and maintenance. The sponsor is Garfield County. They're requesting the full $12,500 for a total project of $25,000. It is for trail work. Their proposal intends to place, refurbish, and maintain signage along the Big Ridge ATV network.
Surrounding Big Ridge Trail System OHV signage and maintenance. The sponsors.
Can someone mute their microphone? As I was saying, sorry. The proposal intends to place, refurbish, and maintain signage along the Big Ridge ATV network and other OHV routes in the area. They stated that it would be difficult for mobilization and construction, so workers would be camping on site. And then it looks as though they received 2 letters of support. When reviewing this, and pretty much when reviewing all the applications, I did not find anything that would make any of these applications so that they were not. What's the word? Sorry.
So this is Chris. I might just chime in here a little bit. And this is probably would be considered what would be deemed a phase 2 of phase 1. So phase 1 last quarter, they were awarded a project to clear the Big Ridge Trail, which they worked cooperatively. They got that project completed roughly about 4 months in advance. They had an opportunity. They went in and cleaned that trail system out. Some of you may have already ridden it. And so I just come back and say, along those lines, that this is one of those items to ensure that riders visiting the area stay on the designated routes, and that it also shows information to those visiting where the particular routes are located at, and adheres to consistent statewide trail signage across other trail systems within the state.
Thank you, Chris. So their completion date is for October 2022. And we have not established a deadline for completion dates, but that is for over 2 years to conduct the work. So that's just something to think about. But other than that, there is no maintenance operational cost estimated for this application. Any questions or concerns that any of the council felt that they would like to discuss?
I have a comment I'd like to make. This was a really big project that they did already, clearing that trail out, clearing out those switchbacks, and it's something that needed to be done for a long time, and it's really quite remarkable that they were able to get in there and do it and get it done. It was an important project to a lot of user groups I know, And I know several different user groups have been trying to get that to happen for some time. And so to get in there and sign it and make sure that they help us to keep that trail system open, to me is a pretty important thing. And then one other item, just real quick, Rachel, can you confirm that we do not have any public comments for this or for any of the other grant proposals for tonight? Is that correct?
Let me just double check. I did not see any that were submitted, but I will double check to confirm. So there were no responses received.
Okay, so that's something as a council that we don't need to consider because there were none. Just so the whole council is aware of that going into this. Are there any other thoughts or comments or questions on this application? All right, well, let's go ahead and rank it then. Rachel, will you call out a roll call on it?
Yes, just to update you guys, it appears that Dave Taylor is messaging me his ranks. So I don't know if he's having trouble, but that works very well. So no problem. Tyson.
5, please.
Okay. Cliff.
5.
Eric.
5.
Kirk.
5.
Ron.
5.
Okay. And then Brody.
5.
Great. So that passes with a score of 4.45 out of 5 for the total amount. So on to application number 3. This is for Color County OHV trail maintenance. It's going to be trail work. They are asking $11,300. $11,300. There we go. For a total project of $20,532. Project sponsor is Iron County. This project entails the funding will go towards purchasing and installing wood rail fencing at the lower Bear Valley trailhead, purchase of 2 OHV helmets with communication capabilities, a UTV cab enclosure, snow blower accessories for a skid steer, miscellaneous trail maintenance supplies. They also intend to purchase and install a trail navigation system to aid in trail development and trail maintenance. When reviewing this, it looks like there will be an annual maintenance cost of $2,000 for this project. And their funding timeline is estimated to be complete on June 30th of 2021. I didn't see any issues with the budget, and yeah. So does anyone else have any input? It looks like they have 2 letters of support. One from BLM, Color County District Office, and the president of the Cedar City Trailblazers OHV Club in support of this. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or discussion topics?
It looks like they have 3 outstanding grants that were applied for this year. Do we know the status of any of those closing out?
Yeah, I can jump in there real quick, Kurt. Thanks for asking. I believe that they just recently closed out one particular grant associated with, it was either RTP or a quarterly application that was submitted last year. So they are pretty much current. I can tell you, in working with Iron County, specifically Mike Worthen, we've been working with them now for approximately 6 years in the development of this Iron County trail system. And I know in some instances, some people may not find value in this, but he's a man of his word. And they have not been delinquent on any grants or or ask for any project modifications or extension deadline termination dates.
And just to fill you guys in, they did close out their grant. It looks like it was 4 months in advance to their actual deadline for the Color County OHV trail equipment attachments. That was for last October's fiscal incentive quarterly grant. They closed that out well in advance. So just an update on that. I know that it says it was not complete. Oh, I take that back. I apologize. I misread it. So they do actually have another grant. It has not expired currently. It is set to do a closeout shortly. So just an update on that. Would you guys like to score?
Yeah.
Let me find my phone that has email. Okay. So Dave just scored. And then Cliff.
5.
Okay. Eric.
5.
Kurt.
5.
Ron.
5.
Okay. Brody.
5.
And Tyson.
5.
Okay. So they received a 4.45 out of 5. So their project is going to be funded and complete, well, recommended to be funded completely. To move on to application number 4. Okay. So application number 4 is Uinta County Trails. The project sponsor is Uinta County. They're asking for $12,500 with a total project of $21,600. So they want to purchase a 2021 Polaris Razor XP 1000 Sport and a single axle trailer to haul the side-by-side to replace county coordinator's personal machine. This machine and trailer will be utilized to develop and maintain the Uinta County trail system. So ultimately, they have a seasonal or a part-time trail coordinator, and he's currently using his own machine. And they would like to purchase an OHV so that he could utilize that instead of he could utilize Uinta County's OHV instead of his personal machine. Let's see. It looks as though, sorry, go ahead, Chris, you need something. It looks as though it is for trail work and access protection. They have not completed, but they only have one project, and it looks as though it's probably a traditional grant. So it's current right now. They have a completion date because it is just the purchase of a machine as well as a trailer. Their completion date is the end of the year. I believe they also gave estimates in addition, which is great because a lot of these are actually on state contract. And also I noted that they had five letters of support for this. So any questions or concerns or anything that needs to be discussed?
This is Brody. I have a concern.
Yes.
Okay, I emailed Zeke Atwood with a concern that they're getting a Razor instead of something like a Ranger or a Defender. It doesn't make any sense to buy a Razor to do a 4-seat Razor Sport to do trail maintenance when like a Ranger or a Defender would be better suited. Zeke did call me back today and said, well, there's a section of trail or a couple of sections of trail that are a little bit rough, but I've seen what a Ranger and a Defender can do. And so I don't think to be able to utilize and do maintenance the best, I think that a Razor is not the machine to go with. Something like a Ranger or a Defender. would be better. And I'd support that, but I don't support a razor.
Okay.
How do you put a bunch of shovels, bags of cement, wood posts, things like that, on a razor, realistically?
So I think it's important to note that. So this is Tyson. I am here in Vernal. This is where my office is, and I've participated in their jamborees. Travel and Tourism's right down the hallway from me, so I can kind of see this up close and personal. And I totally understand your point of if it was purely trail maintenance, a Ranger would be better. But at the same time, in their application, it does say that it's not just maintenance, used for media tours, guided group rides, social media influencer tours, the OHV Jamboree, the Carter Military Trail, and the Red Mountain Trail. I don't think you could get a Ranger up Red Mountain for sure. And so if they're guiding tours on a 3-day Jamboree, I think there is value in having a razor rather than a Ranger in that type of situation. And so just to try to look at the whole perspective of it, it's not just maintenance. There is another.
I do see that. I see where a Ranger will hold, or a Defender will hold 6 people versus 4. I have seen Rangers and Defenders go places that some ATVs would fear to go. And so it depends on how you have it set up. I think that if you're going to be transporting camera crews and things like that, you're going to need the space for all their equipment. If you're going to be out for 3 days, how are you going to put 4 people's supplies on a razor? That doesn't make any sense. And unless you're rock crawling, then a Ranger or a Defender would be the appropriate thing, in my opinion.
That Red Mountain Trail is a rock crawling trail. I mean, we snapped axles like it's Commander's Corner. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's not just any old side by side. A 4-wheeler couldn't make it, I don't think, up Red Mountain. So just for perspective on what kinds of trails they are guiding through, at least 1 or 2 of them, not all of them, of course, here in Uintah County.
Hey, Tyson and Brody, this is Chris. Just want to confirm with what Tyson said. However, somebody within our group did make it up Red Mountain on a state purchased ATV. I won't mention who, but Tyson is absolutely correct in his remarks, and I think that if this is a concern for the council, that we can go ahead and discuss that option where we could direct the county to consider making a purchase. I think it's great, like Rachel had pointed out, the estimates, they are utilizing the state contracts that we have been able to establish in working with purchasing. So that is also going to help save a few pennies. They may have an estimate, but they may go back and recalculate that estimate.
That's cool.
And this is Evan, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
As a former rec planner for the BLM in Vernal, I have to definitely support Tyson's assessment of Red Mountain. If that's a key area where they're going to use this machine, it does amount to rock crawling and is, as Chris mentioned, a challenge for a standard workhorse machine.
Yeah, this is Cliff. The other potential advantage, although I see pros and cons of each model, is that you could get the work done faster, especially like inventory work that I do. I prefer that it be a sport-oriented machine. It's more efficient. But I still think it's worth bringing up to them, not as being contingent upon the funding, but just to encourage them to make sure they consider the models based on the breadth of work that they'll be doing.
This is Eric. So, of course, there's a middle ground here too. You know, you're talking about a Defender that is purely a utility. A traditional Ranger is purely a utility, and it's really not that efficient on the trail. I agree with Cliff. But there is models that are in the middle as well. You know, you look at a General, a 4-seat General, it does have a bed. It is still fairly sporty. You're going to be able to get around. But at the same time, it's just how the county sets it up. You know, they're looking at carrying around Carsonites and things like that, and that's definitely doable in an RZR. I feel confident that they're, you know, that they could get plenty of utility out of a Razor, but I agree we could recommend, you know, hey, have you looked at maybe a General, or, you know, Yamaha has a new model coming out that's way more sporty, and you know, everybody's got that middle ground, but that's my thoughts.
Are you guys ready to score? I take that as a yes. Give me 1 second. Okay. So, Cliff, you want to start?
5.
Okay. Eric?
5.
Right. Kirk?
5.
Ron?
4.
Cody? Brody?
Oh, 3.
Okay. Tyson?
5.
Okay. And then just got Dave's email ranking it a 4. So that did pass with a 3.91 out of 5. So if we would like to move on to the next one, which is application number 5 for 2021 Slorex OHV Education. The project sponsor is Backcountry Off-Road Adventure Rally. They're asking for $3,150 with a total project of $4,550. So funding will be utilized at the Salt Lake Off-Road Expo. They intend to purchase a booth, vehicle space, banner, pamphlets to hand out to visitors, signage to promote the usage of OHV funds, and a battery pack for a battery pack to power digital signage, charge phones, power card readers, and other electrical needs. Their objective is to educate visitors on proper trail etiquette, provide maps and links to legal trail systems, and educate users on various volunteer opportunities in the state. This is an education grant. Let's see. I believe also they also stated that they're using their match will be in-kind volunteer hours to prepare for the event. Completion date is pretty much once the event is complete, which is in February. So they currently have a grant with us right now. It has not closed out, but it is not at the expiration date right now. I know personally I've actually sat at their booth during an event a couple years ago, and they are great guys, very passionate about what they do. I know from experience that they manage most of American Fork Canyon, and they are They are a Jeep group, I believe. They are a Jeep group. Okay. So yes, I believe also this is our intern, and that photo was our intern. So just discussing that, it looks as though they have all of their documentation for being a nonprofit as well. Any discussion on this?
This is Cliff.
Go ahead, Cliff.
Thank you. I asked the applicant, Brian Twyman, if it's mostly promotional items for his own group or how much education will really be in there. And he said he'd be happy to put a big part of the pamphlet, for example, just squarely about things like minimum impact practices. But even beyond that, everything they do involves encouraging people to get the right travel maps. They show them where to go to find what routes are designated, and encouraging them to sign up for volunteer events and where to go to find out about those. So I experienced firsthand at the expo that they were a positive influence. And more specific to the budget, I found out that they are also covering about $1,000 worth of raffle items a year just to attract people to the booth, so that they'll start to learn about responsible recreation. And that extra $1,000 roughly could be considered additional match, not reflected in the budget. The final thing is that their items that they're requesting funding for, about half of them are just specific to this coming expo, but the other half are things like the battery pack and the banner, which they could keep from year to year.
Also, I just want to add that with the pamphlet that they have, that is something that for my documentation, I intend to reach out to them to get a copy of that, just so that I can show that in their closeout file as well as backup. And that it makes sure that it has our logo on it, which I believe that they will. They're very good about that stuff.
Rachel, I had just a comment / question. In part of their budget is the actual booth space at the expo, and they mention in their application that they traditionally have offered that booth space to be occupied by the State Parks OHV Council, and it sounds like from the comment you just made that not only have they offered, but that the state has actually been able to utilize that in the past. And I just wanted to point that out and confirm that directly helps out the OHV program.
It does. Chris is going to speak on this, I believe, but also I know I personally sat at their booth as a state park representative. They do a number of great things. So they're always supporting us. Go ahead.
So this is Chris Haller, Utah Division of Parks and Recreation OHV Program. Just wanted to reiterate what you had mentioned, Ron. Because the program coordinator is a little tight with the program funding, we've been able to work out a really good deal. Rather than the program purchasing a booth space at the Salt Lake Off-Road Expo, BOR has offered up a partial or an area associated with that booth space for roughly about the last 4 years. It's been a great partnership. As you've heard, Rachel has been there. I've been there, and it's been a great collaboration. And it just saves the program funding that we can utilize better on the trail systems around the state and or in other program related items for our OHV enthusiasts. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Any other discussion items, or would you guys like to score?
Let's go ahead and score.
Great. Okay, hold on 1 second. All right, that's not what I wanted. All right. So, Eric.
Sorry, caught me off guard. 5.
I should be used to this. Kurt.
4.
Okay. Ron.
5.
Great. Brody.
5.
Okay. Jason.
4.
And that just came through. Hold on. 5. And Cliff.
5.
Okay. All right. So that did pass with a 4.09 out of 5 for the total amount of funding. Guess I will stop sharing. Okay. So Also, I just want to state that we are doing really good on time this time around. Am I going to jinx it? Not even going to state it. Never mind. Ignore me. Okay. So this is the Strike Ravine Trail signage. This is with San Juan County Road Department. They are asking for $5,231. Their total estimated project total is $7,147. Funding is intended to assist with the installation of information kiosks at 4 entrances of private land, trail markers, and placement of proper signage dictating where the public can operate legally. The project sponsor, the project manager actually reached out to me, and a lot of this was decided a couple days before the application was actually submitted. I recommended that he submit the documentation or the meeting minutes with this discussion, but I do not know if they were made available at that time. So pretty much it seems as though, so it goes through private property, or it connects with private property, and people are accessing that technically illegally. So they're just trying to do make others happy, or make the land manager happy, the landowner, I'm sorry, by placing up signs so that people know where they can and cannot ride. Their estimated completion date is May 1st of 2021. Pretty much once the snow melts, that's when they intend to go out and do this trail work. There is a $200 maintenance, annual maintenance cost. And even though it was written in, I double checked his budget and it's good. And they intend to put the logo on our kiosks, on their kiosks. The trail will be for single track, ATV side by side, and 4-wheel drive. Trail signage work will be approximately on 7.2 miles of trail, including sections of 8 trails. So they also have maps of it. And then they have estimates of kind of the kiosks that they intend to put up, pretty much the private property signs and the signs for stating where the trail is located and where it's going. And then there is one letter of support from the San Juan County, County Commissioner, Mac McDonald. Any discussion on this?
This is Ron. I have a comment. Is that you, Cliff?
Yeah, but you can go ahead, Ron.
Okay. This is an area that is, it's open to lots of uses, but it's heavily used by the Jeeps and the full-sized OHVs, and it's been kind of an area of concern for the full-size the full-size vehicle crowd for some time, because it does cross that private property. There are other trails in that area that are extreme trails, extreme rock crawling trails, and this is one of there's kind of a nice moderate trail that a lot more people can utilize. And I was really happy to see this grant application, because I think it's important for us to mitigate the potential conflicts between the users and the landowner, and also other user groups. That was just a comment I wanted to throw in out there.
And this is Cliff. I'll just add that, it's on the Strike Ravine Trail, which is across that private property for several miles. But the right-of-way is established. Recently, the landowner petitioned the county to relinquish the right-of-way. And the implication was that by relinquishing the right-of-way, they'll actually be able to get more annual property tax revenue, and maybe sales tax from the businesses that could be developed there. But fortunately, the San Juan County Commission has thus far not giving up the public access, and by defining the route there to make sure people don't inadvertently trespass, that should take away any future arguments to give that up. But I see it as totally valuable, because Strike Ravine is a Jeep Safari route and useful for all kinds of vehicles.
Great. Any other discussion? I'm going to take that as a no.
Let's score it.
Okay. Kirk?
5.
Okay. Ron?
5.
Cody?
5.
Tyson?
5.
Okay. Dave is a 5. Cliff?
5.
Okay. And then Eric?
5.
Great. So that passes with a 4.36 out of 5 for the total amount of funding. All right. So this is a phase 2 project to finish out a former fiscal incentive grant. They are in the process of closing it out now. I have been working with them relatively closely, and I actually had the opportunity to go and meet Joanne and Bethany, and also the current mayor of Wellington, to discuss this. But this is the Wellington OHV Trail Phase 2. They're asking for $12,500, and the project sponsor is Wellington City. A little bit of information from you guys. Joanne Powell actually is no longer mayor. So Bethany has taken over the first part, phase 1 of the application, with assistance obviously from Joanne. Joanne is very passionate about this. We actually went out and she showed us what was in the process of being done. She also, there's about 30 pictures of all of this work, and I have some even on my phone. But I saw this firsthand, and so pretty much this trail goes right beside a home, and ultimately they want to be a good neighbor to that person and put up a privacy fence. That would pretty much complete everything that they're doing. They're matching with volunteer hours and the use of equipment and hand tools, and they also have a cash match of Wellington City Capital Improvement Funds. There is also a letter of support dictating that. They're very passionate about what they do. I saw it firsthand. They also created at your leisure, did a video with them discussing their first part of phase 1 of their project, and it's posted on our Facebook page. And if anything, it shows a lot of support for the OHV program, the OHV community, as well as the fiscal incentive grant. So any discussion on that, guys?
I have a question. Have we ever done or paid for a privacy fence for a private home before?
So I do not believe so, but I also do not believe that there's anywhere stating that we cannot pay for something like that.
And do we want to get into the business of providing funding for everybody that would like a privacy fence? I have issue with that.
This is Cliff. I definitely would want this funding to not go to every single private property owner that wants something, but in this case, I think the residence is quite close. I mean, it's within a stone's throw of the trail itself, and it's relatively cheap fencing, and could go a long way to keep the neighbors copacetic, keep the trail access. So I think it is worthwhile.
Is the fence going to be put on private property or on city, county, or state property?
It'll be on.
It's right
Ahead.
on the line, I believe.
Yeah, hold on. I can actually present real quickly to show you the picture because
I've got the picture. I'm just curious whose property.
I think it's right on the property line.
I also believe, if I remember correctly, it is right on the property line.
Because I know that we've had issue with putting things on private property at our last meeting, specifically the kiosk at KOA, because it was on private property. So I have an issue with this being on, if it's on private property. If they're putting it on the city, county, or state property, I'd have no issue. But if they're putting it on the homeowner's property, then what are we going to have to come back every couple of years to do some painting? And when the corrugated siding rusts out, we're going to replace that. Is the homeowner putting any skin in the game? That's another question.
So it looks as though the project land is owned and administrated by the city. Then,
and I, while you're looking, Rachel, I certainly look out for that. Want to make sure that whether it's public or private, the question is whether public access is guaranteed, because we don't want to put something up where the property owner could say, oh, well, you can't actually drive through here at all anymore, but we're going to keep the fence. That's not the case here. The right of way is guaranteed for public access.
Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion on this?
Rachel?
Yes.
So on the first page on A10, the total project cost is $16,090. And on the breakdown cost, it's like page 6, it's $25,350. And it says that A10 and that total project cost number should match.
Yeah.
And I'm just, if there's an explanation, great. I'm just trying to kind of put together those discrepancies a little bit.
So Cliff actually reached out to me with an updated budget form. So this is something that the division can go through with the applicant. So I myself can figure out pretty much what. So they're asking $12,500, but I can figure out what their match will be. And I have not had the opportunity to review the former one. Sorry, the updated version of it, because it did come in actually today. But this is something ultimately their match will not, their match will change, but their request will not. So if anything, I believe, actually I can, hold on.
It looks like they're well exceeding the match requirements. We just need to have a correct budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that I can.
Just for accuracy, just trying to make sure it's done right. So.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you for that. So that actually has already been submitted to us. I just haven't had the opportunity to review it. So they have already done that. So, and that's something that we can work out on our end.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussions? Okay. Ron, I'm going to start with you.
4.
Okay. Brody?
3.
Tyson?
3.
5 from him. Cliff?
5.
Okay. Eric?
5.
Eric?
4.
So that does pass with a 3.82 out of 5 for the full amount of funding. And Chris is actually going to cover this next one.
Thank you, and thanks for everybody providing their scores. So the next grant application is submitted by the Division of Parks and Recreation, specifically the Off-Highway Vehicle Program. to relationship to a previous awarded traditional or annual grant that was submitted this past May for a trail crew. It's going to be funded mutually with federal funds from the RTP. So that's a 2-year project. And the goal with that, just some background information, is to establish a 2-person trail crew. Initially, that may increase in years to come, but for this FY21 year and this FY21 season, it's going to be a 2-person trail crew. So given that and some of the history of the program, we don't necessarily possess the tools in order to help fund or allow the trail crew team to have tools specific regarding to trail maintenance. And so this application that's presented in front of the Advisory Council this evening is to discuss about purchasing of trail tools to help the trail crew, specifically hand tools, chainsaws, pickaxes, etc. You've read the application, so you know what it consists of. And so, yeah, I believe it's pretty self-explanatory. And I might also remind the council that they have funded trail tools to previous nonprofit organizations.
Any discussion on that? Also, I would like to add that a letter of support was received. So that has been uploaded to the Google folder. I assume there's no
ready
discussion.
to rank them?
Sure. 1 second. Okay. All right. Brody, I'm back to you.
5.
Okay. Tyson?
5.
Dave is also a 5. Cliff?
5.
Okay. Eric?
5.
Kirk?
5.
And Ron?
5.
Not a perfect score, though. Because Bradley gave you a 4.
There's always one.
So they received a 4.45 out of 5. So that application will pass. And this is our last one. Cliff, you will not be scoring on this because you are the one who submitted it. So this project is for participating in the Utah Forest Plan revision. This project sponsor is Ride with Respect, and they are asking for $11,200, and their total is $18,400. So this is a access protection application. Funding will be used to assist with the Manti-LaSalle Forest Plan by providing quality input based on thorough analysis and fieldwork. Ride with Respect intends to work with the Manti-LaSalle National Forest in order to influence and lay the groundwork for a balanced subsequent forest plan. So I'm a little nervous to open this to the floor to Cliff to discuss.
Well, I'll just say that I'm available for any questions.
Okay. So his completion date is 12/1/2022. He currently has 3 projects in the works, all relevant currently and not expired or anything. So sorry, Cliff. So it looks like the requested funding is for attorney work. At least $100 of the non-attorney match will actually be cash instead of in kind. And then there's non-attorney work of 320 hours, and travel, weekly trips will equate to $4,000. So He's also uploaded, he has 2 letters of support, and he also uploaded the draft to the draft forest plan for the Manti-La National Forest. In addition, he also has pictures of proposed, and then he has his bylaws, it looks like, and proof that he is a nonprofit. Is there any other discussion on this or any questions that Cliff can answer for you guys?
They're afraid to ask me questions.
We just know you have your bases covered.
We're also doing so well on time. Kinda. Okay.
I don't blame you. It's based on history.
Thank you for understanding. Just kidding. Okay. So if there's no questions, do you guys feel comfortable to score?
Let's go ahead and rank it.
Great. All right. And this should calculate without Cliff having to be involved. Yes, it will. Okay. So I'm going to start with Tyson.
5.
5. Dave has not sent his answer in yet. That's fine. No Cliff. Eric?
5.
Kurt?
5.
Ron?
5.
Okay. Brody?
5.
And then I'm just waiting on Dave. But as of right now, it has passed. The score will most likely increase, but it's currently at a 3.9. So this is the first time, I believe, that all of our applications have passed. Oh, there it is. 4. Oh. All right. It came to a 4.3.
I was hoping to beat Chris and Mike's score. But
Close.
Thank you all for the confidence.
Very close. So it looks as though all of the applications have passed. So that will total to $87,181. I expect to hopefully get all of their, get them all set up, and then their fiscal assistance agreements to them, hopefully no later than the end of November. After it's passed the board. And the board meeting is November 12th.
So I think, sorry, Rachel, didn't mean to, go ahead and finish.
Oh no, I was just going to actually move on to the approved recommendations to see if that would.
Yeah, so we do need to now vote as a board. Is there any discussion on the recommendation before I accept a motion to make the recommendation? If there's no discussion, then I would accept a motion to approve all of the grants for recommendation to the state for funding.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Who seconded?
Brody.
Brody.
Brody, and who was first?
Eric.
Eric. Thank you.
All right, everybody, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Dave says.
Okay, looks like that motion passes. Let's now go ahead and I'm going to turn the time over to Chris to give us begin a discussion on the adoption of the education curriculum standards. Chris, do you want to give us a little information about that and maybe kickstart us on a discussion here?
Absolutely. So I have So what I want to try to do is give the council advance notice. This is something that the OHV program and the advisory council has been working on for approximately 2.5+ years. We developed a committee that was recommended by the advisory council. At that time, the committee chair, which was Dave Taylor, who currently sits on the advisory council, requested that the OHV program establish a UTV, or utility terrain vehicle, committee to establish, review, and produce a draft education curriculum for UTV training. We would be one of the first in the country, and obviously, given some of the different things that have occurred recently that's been laid at the program's feet, we've placed that on the back burner. However, what I'm wanting to do is resurrect that conversation and that dialogue within the OHV Advisory Council. And so what I'm saying is in the future, probably at our first Advisory Council meeting in 2021, you will see some UTV education curriculum standards proposed language that may be adopted for recommendation by the Advisory Council and then taken to the State Park Board for approval. You will receive advance notice of what some of that curricula may consist of regarding the outcomes and suggestions provided to the program from the OHV advisor or from the UTV Education Committee. So just wanted to take a few minutes and share with you that information. I do not have any information to supply this evening. Did not want to take away from the ranking and the quarterly grant, and wanted to lay a little bit of a foundation for future reference that you'll see some information associated with that education curriculum standards. The current curriculum standards are established for ATV operation, OHM, and also snowmobile. We have 4 different type of providers. 2 of them are online, and 2 of them are also hands-on education providers. So that's pretty much what I wanted to summarize. Now I'm available. I'll open myself up for any questions from the advisory council members.
Chris, could you tell us what the 4 programs currently are?
Yeah, so we have 2 online education course providers. They are Calcami and Fresh Air. So an individual can go on there, a youth individual, because it is a requirement for youth between the ages 8 and 15 to operate on public lands. So they can go in at 247, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There are 2 different types of online courses because we have a clear understanding that youth learn differently. And so we allow the parent and their either son or daughter or grandchild to sit down and determine which is going to be the best method and allow that youth to learn from those 2 different courses. The hands-on course providers, one is established with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. They typically do approximately 2 education hands-on courses a year around ATV and off-highway motorcycle. Those are the only 2 that they are certified in. They conduct roughly about 150 students a year is what they end up educating. And then our second hands-on course provider is ATV Upholstery. He's located out of Sevier County, specifically Annabella, and he roughly teaches between 300 and 500 students a year. And then so people may want to ask the question or considering, well, how do they go about to become certified? They have to supply the OHV program, those specific education curriculum standards, and meeting those standards as defined in an administrative rule. And then we review those for approval or going back to the drawing board. Does that answer your question, Kirk?
Are there any other questions for Chris on this item?
I feel like that he had a lot of information, even though he said he didn't have any information. I just want to make that point.
Yeah, that's Chris. We should all be accustomed to that.
All right.
So I was just a little concerned that I might be placed in a guillotine or a gauntlet by Cliff, so I wanted to try to circumvent that.
It was a close call.
All right, Ron.
I like
All
to
right,
keep it
so
looming.
Oh, Cliff, are you saying something?
Yeah, I just like to keep it looming. Sometimes the threat is more effective than the use.
Fear, the biggest motivator.
Especially when you can't back it up. Then you got to fake it.
All right.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the OHV program update. Chris, do you have an update for us?
Certainly do, and it's been a long time since we've taken any time out of our previous advisory council meetings to discuss where we're currently at with the off-highway vehicle program. So I'd like to take the next 15 minutes or less and bring each of our volunteer advisory council members up to speed on where the program currently is. Obviously, we just have recommended our 6th quarterly grant application process. This application process began in July of 2019, and since that time, we have awarded several great projects across the state to assist OHV enthusiasts. We've also have been given the authority, and as you saw this evening, we have Rachel Toker. She's the OHV Program Grant Administrator. She started in this position roughly about 2 months ago, and so she will continue to work and excel in this particular area. And I think it's an exciting time for the off-highway vehicle program, especially in knowing that our staff size increased 33%. We went from 2 to 3, and we know some of our surrounding states are probably double or quadruple that in numbers. So I think as we move forward into 2021, a couple of things that I wanted to share with the advisory council that we are going to focus on. We're going to focus on a DUI awareness campaign. We understand out of the 14 fatalities that we average annually, 50% of those are somehow influenced by illegal drugs or alcohol consumption that contributed to those fatalities. Our hearts go out to the family members that have been impacted from that loss. And we also want to try to market more towards the particular area that alcohol and motorized recreation do not mix. And so we'll be launching that sometime in the 2021 year. In addition to that, we're also going to be launching a new media campaign, if you will. You know, in years past, some of you may be familiar with those, such as Ride on Utah. That was a collaborative effort between Tread Lightly, the Bureau of Land Management, the United States Forest Service, School Institutional Trust Lands Administration, Division of Wildlife Resources, and the state OHV program, in order to provide a consistent statewide message to those that are involved within motorized recreation. We shifted gears. Sorry about that pun, but I knew Eric would enjoy it. And then we went with the direction of Nobody is Invincible. That was a working relationship that we had with the University of Utah Health, and along with Primary Children's, Safe Kids Coalition, and local county health departments in order to help promote injury prevention and the reduction of youth fatalities associated with that. And also to try to remind adults right around the average age of 40 years old that they are not invincible and that they should wear a helmet. So from that last 2 to 3 years, we've decided to repackage a message that will be kicking off in 2021. And that package is known as Why We Ride. It'll be more family oriented, geared towards family members within Utah of motorized recreation. We know for a fact that motorized recreation in Utah is a very social activity. Very few of us actively participate individually, although it does occur. It's probably not as strong as a percentage as what we have a tendency of believing with our family values. And so we've already completed 4 different types of videos. We will make those videos available for the advisory council to review just prior to the holiday season, kind of a way our Christmas gift to each of you, if you will. And we'll let you unpackage those as you see fit. So along those lines, those 4 videos, one is family oriented from a different perspective of grandparents, all the way down to brothers and sisters, down to grandchildren with a particular family. We also have produced a video earmarked towards enduro riders because we know that they actually visit a lot of our off-highway vehicle trail systems. They cross not only multiple states in order to ride in Utah on some of our awesome dirt transportation system. And so we wanted to highlight that. We've taken 2 snowmobile enthusiasts and have packaged them up more or less as a brother combination, and will demonstrate and promote that once again, that family perspective on why we ride snowmobiling through a brothership type of promotion. Our 4th and final video is going to be geared towards more or less fraternity brothers or distance relationships that have maybe come apart over the years and then they have grown collectively together. Eric's chuckling because he would find value in this because it is off-highway motorcycle riders. And so we know that over time, some of those relationships do evaporate as families grow and nurture, and then they come back together when they may become empty nesters, as Eric is, I'm sure, looking forward to. So, and Cliff. So along those lines, those are just some of the highlights. Also, probably one of the most exciting things that's going to happen in 2021 is our birthday. We turned 50. So in 1971, the Utah State Legislature passed the Off-Highway Vehicle Act. It started to take hold in 1972, and so we'll be 50 next year. And so we have a lot of different types of events and potential contests taking place, and we'll begin promoting that latter part of 2020 as we move forward into 2021. I'd also want to say that we currently have an intern within our program. His name is Jordan Moe. He started last Saturday, and he will be with us through the springtime. And we believe that we're also going to have 2 additional interns that will be starting in January and will be fulfilling their internship requirements with their specific university through May. So those are just some of the highlights along the way, some of the things that have taken place, and some of the things that we have looking forward to us as we move forward and turn the corner, so to speak, for another 50 years of off-highway vehicle use within our great state. I want to leave a little time for any questions that any of you may have. Apparently not. I bored everybody because they're all looking for fun. So I believe I've accomplished what I wanted to. So
I just want to make this is Ron. I just want to make a comment that it's, to me, it's really exciting to see what the OHV program is able to do and some of the new things that it is doing, and I'm very excited about the potential that is there with the new position, with having Rachel on board as a permanent full-time employee and how she can assist the council. I think we've all kind of felt, at least I guess I should only speak for myself, that having that position filled has made our jobs as far as this meeting a little bit smoother, and she goes out and markets the OHV grant and gets more and more municipalities to submit applications. I think we'll see quite a bit of growth, and that's a comment I had. Was there any other comments or thoughts or questions?
Ron, I have one more, Ron, and I'll just share with you. Also, I failed to mention, I just recently pulled some of the registration numbers. Off-highway vehicle registrations in Utah are up 5%. We went from 202,000, we're up at over 213,000 registered off-highway vehicles across the state. And we also are anticipating selling close to 35,000 non-resident permits next year.
Wow. That's great. That's amazing. Any other questions for Chris on the program, OHV program, before we move on?
I do. Just real quick, Chris. Are we capturing street legal UTVs and ATVs in that number as well?
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
Street legal registrations are approximately 34,000. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but they're over 34,000. And just trying to field a grounder that I know Kirk is wanting to lay down the first baseline. We're a little more than 24,000 for snowmobiles.
Nice. That's good.
Hey, Chris, this is Evan with the BLM. Hey, that's pretty exciting, 1971 to 2021. I look forward to seeing how you guys play that up. And as a federal partner, please reach out. I think that lots of people would be pretty excited and to hear that that program's 50 years old and all that you and past OHV program leads have accomplished. So great work.
And thank you, Evan. I have a lot of faults, as most of you know. Probably one of my biggest faults is I'm a little too humble. I want to tip my hat to a lot of people that laid the groundwork and the foundation prior to me being in this position. And that goes back to Scott Yehunen, who was one of the first OHV program coordinators, to Bill Thompson, who retired Forest Service employee and then came and became the OHV program coordinator, to a very dear friend of mine, Fred Hayes. And so there's been a lot of people that have built this program. I've just simply been allowed to work with some of the most and probably the greatest people that reside in Utah, that are extremely passionate, that give back, that care, and that are willing to solve problems and just not or bring solutions to problems at the table, and just not have problems and let somebody else try to solve them for them. So a lot of kudos goes to not only those members on the advisory council, who, like I've mentioned, are volunteers, but then also those individuals that are listening in and watching this evening. So we can't accomplish anything without a collective group as a whole. And I'm Chris Haller, and I support that. I support this commercial.
Message.
I support this message. Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. We appreciate what you do and we appreciate the program. Let's take just a few moments and get an update from each of our council members. Again, Rachel, I apologize for making you do some of my job here tonight, but I think it would be chaotic if we all just tried to speak when we felt like it. So could you read off those that you've that are here and let each council member go ahead and give a report if they wish to?
Ron, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Last year has been interesting for all of us, obviously. Full-size OHV, in the full-size OHV world, has been extremely interesting, starting off with having our Easter Jeep Safari canceled. I don't think that kept a lot of potential participants away from the area. Cliff can probably chime in on that. I know I was down in that area a little bit later after the safari should have happened. And I know that the events that have gone on have been, the numbers have been significantly increased. We just recently had the Trail Hero event down in Sand Hollow Hurricane area, and the numbers of registered OHVs, Jeeps 4x4s there was significantly up from the prior year. Donations were up. I think we're seeing out on the trails a lot of people from other states that maybe are restricted a little bit more than we are taking their time off and coming to Utah and enjoying what we have. There's some good things and some bad things about that, but definitely full-size OHV use, the Jeep crowd is, the usage up on the trails is up significantly, and there's a lot going on right now.
Thank you, Ron. I'm just going to go down the list. So, Eric, would you like to give an update?
Sure. I echo on what Ron's saying there, and, representing the dealers and I guess maybe the business side of this a little bit is, from what we've seen, a lot of the families are out recreating. I was actually kind of surprised that numbers weren't up even more. You'd be hard pressed to find a 4-seat OHV right now in a dealership sitting on a floor. They're just barely starting to start coming back in and being in stock, so you could actually go down and buy one. It's just, and we've been out on the trails quite a bit too, and it's been kind of interesting to see new users. And so if any time was a good time for education and signage and all this kind of stuff, we have all these new users that haven't had to traditionally work as hard as some of us have to keep the trails open and to really understand responsible use, and so that's kind of been near and dear to my heart a little bit, is really trying to educate the users, the new users. So yep.
Thank you. Just real quickly, Dave sent over just a little tidbit. He said it's been very busy here with all the people that have come this way during this virus. People have really been using our mountains. It is great. So that is from Dave Taylor. All right. Brody, do you have an update?
it's been with everything going on, been a lot of the ATV jamborees that have been canceled, but there were a few. We had the Rocky Mountain ATV Jamboree in Richfield that went off very well and pretty well attended. And the other one that I attended was the Paiute Trail Jamboree out of Marysville, and loved that one. Great one to take kids to. And speaking of jamborees, Cedar City, Iron County had their first OHV Jamboree this year, end of July, 1st of August. That was actually run by DNP Performance out of Cedar City. They're going to do a little switch up, and they're going to start focusing more on the big side-by-sides, and every other year will be in Iron County. Every other year will be somewhere else. Like next year will be out of Bryce Canyon or out of Ruby's Inn. And so they're going to really focus on the larger machines, the faster, louder machines. And Iron County will be working on their own ATV Jamboree that will be yearly out of probably out of Parowan, Utah, and focus on the trail systems in Iron County and up on Cedar Mountain. And so we're looking forward to that. We actually will have been working as a club. Our club has been working with the tourism office, and we will be working with the Parowan tourism people, and then working with the Iron County Commission, who we've been told is maybe pretty excited about this. So we're pretty excited to hopefully start this 2022. Too late to really get anything ready for 2021. So, Mike Worthen, who has put in a grant, and he'll be helping to head that up a little bit. So that's Iron County and Cedar City.
Nice. Thank you. Cliff, do you have an
update? From other parts of the state, you may have heard rumblings in Moab about noise grievances. And I can't possibly cover all of that issue tonight, but I can say broadly that it's in my opinion, a legitimate grievance. It's not entirely made up, although there's certainly people who exaggerate it. But at the same time, I have not agreed with the recent actions of the city or county and their plans in the near future. And so it's unfortunate, but I'm going to continue advocating some mitigation measures that I think would be more effective at reducing the concerns and more tolerable for us as riders. I would like to send all of you more information about that, but it falls into three categories, one of which is getting more serious about the education that we already do, and that could even apply at the state level to things like adult education requirements, just like Oregon does, not just for their youth, or the rental requirements like Florida does for personal watercraft, which is like a 15-minute video and test, multiple choice. But in any case, the education is an important part, because to some degree, the problem results from people just running their RPMs higher than they really have to through town or camp or passing people on the trail. The second component is the vehicles themselves, and that kind of falls into two parts. And one part is just a stock vehicle. What I've found is the majority of models, especially of side-by-sides, which are the primary complaint, even though you can have loud vehicles of any kind, it really comes down to just a few models that are significantly louder than the rest. And I think that it would actually help our sports long-term interest to take the edge off those models by approaching the manufacturers. But that's probably beyond the scope of this committee. The other aspect of the vehicles themselves, which I think is more pertinent, is just the concept of stationary sound testing. It's a procedure that the manufacturers and aftermarket everyone got behind years ago. And in fact, the one for motorcycles, which has been applied to ATVs and side-by-sides, was developed in 1980, and it works very well. They typically have a 96 decibel standard at that procedure, which is only 20 inches from the tailpipe, in order to mimic what the federal standards are for the manufacturers. It's totally workable. Any of the stock machines that aren't for closed course competition will pass, and a lot of the aftermarket ones will as well. And most of the manufacturers, they advertise based on this stationary sound test procedure. It's called SAE J1287. What the decibel reading is for the given exhaust system for side-by-side motorcycle. So it makes it pretty easy to comply with, and it is actually law in at least a dozen other states and some municipalities around the country. But whether it's required or not, I think it is in our interest to really encourage people to be aware of that as an alternative solution to these more draconian ones that my local officials are coming up with. And so, feel free to contact me. I actually have the sound testing kit from the American Motorcyclists Association. It was donated, and so I can measure anybody's volume of sound from their muffler if this hasn't been maintained in a while, and they're wondering what it's currently producing. So please be aware that Ride with Respect is trying to establish a middle ground here, and I don't think it's just going to be a Moab thing as our sport becomes more and more popular. So I hope that we can get it right here to set a good example for the rest of the state, but it's going to take some work.
Thank you, Cliff. Kirk, do you have an update?
Snowmobile season is upon us shortly. The manufacturers and dealers that I've spoke to said that the sales are up over 25% over last year for unit sales, which tells us that we are going to have a lot of new riders in a lot of territory they probably shouldn't be. So I have a high concern for avalanches this year and avalanche fatalities. So the Utah Snowmobile Association is working in conjunction with Ortovox, the Utah Avalanche Center, PEEPS, and BCA, and a few others to continue their avalanche training. The education trailer will be at the snow show this weekend if you guys can make it. We do not have the classes scheduled as of yet. That will happen over the weekend during the snow show. We are working in conjunction with the Davis County Search and Rescue, or Weber County, I should say, to teach classes as well. Unfortunately, we think that there will probably be more avalanche fatalities this year than the prior year, just because we have that many new users into terrain. With the new snowmobiles, they can get into terrain that they probably shouldn't be in right away. So excited for the season to come, dreading a little bit of what's going to happen on the avalanche side of things, just so that we can have a good, safe season. That's one of the biggest things. So pray for no snow until December 1st, and then just consistent snow over the years, so we have that great snowpack we did a couple of years ago with 0 fatalities. If we get early snow and it stays on shady sides, we're going to have some pretty ugly season. So that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Tyson, do you have an update?
Yeah, sure. First off, it's been good being on this council with everyone, just new and kind of filling things out, and it's been a positive experience. From Silla's perspective, we have a fair amount of land immediately surrounding Vernal, and it's a popular place for OHVs and people to go recreate. And we've been able to actually partner with a couple of oil and gas companies to clean up some of the lands that people like to recreate. the OHV groups here are wonderful. They're not the ones generally making the mess, but they're always willing to come help clean up to take care of the places that they like to ride. Uintah County, their rally last year had 250 registered OHVs, about 400 people, and they actually had one of their first official Jeep rock rallies that had I think 40 Jeeps show up, which is kind of cool, kind of new. Permitted that to be on trust lands up at a place called Docks Beach, just north of Vernal. So that's been fun to be involved in that way. And then also, just kind of on a side note, I volunteer with the local search and rescue here in Uintah County, and 2020 has been a crazy year for, I think, all search and rescue units across the state. Seen an uptick in accidents and fatalities, specifically with OHV. Early in the season, we had some snowmobile-related fatalities, and I'm encouraged to hear that snowmobile education, OHV education, alcohol and OHV stuff doesn't mix. I think those are important messages to continue to teach and to get out to the public, especially with numbers of new riders. And I just really commend this group and the efforts that would take to do that. That's really all that I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Tyson. And last but not least, Evan, do you have an update?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm having a bit of a dog situation at my house right now, so just give me 5 seconds.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm back, and the dogs have got a whooping. Hey, just a few updates on the BLM's front. We did get the Sanderfeld Desert Travel Management Plan out south of I-70 earlier this year, and we're now working through the appeals process to hopefully have that move forward. We are also in the public comment period. This is a very important phase for off-highway vehicle advocates in Canyon Rim's travel management plan in Moab. So check that one out and provide comments. And then we are moving forward where Utah's leading the Bureau in the nation in its number of travel management plan efforts. So, whether folks like the results of those plans or not, we're really moving towards trying to get a consistent approach and some continuity where riders can be assured that they're riding in the right places and that our designated route system is well mapped and well marked. So we're going to be trudging forward in the next couple of years on that. So those are kind of key updates from the BLM side.
Great, thank you.
Is that everybody?
That is everyone.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for your updates and all the things that you're doing to represent our sport in the state of Utah. The last item we have on our agenda is we have a couple of council positions that are nearing the end of their term, and we need to discuss the process for handling that. Chris, can you give us a little bit of information on that and kind of direct the discussion here?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Chairman Tolman. So along those lines, I want to publicly acknowledge two of your fellow council members, as this will be their last meeting. They have reached their term limits. And so I would like to recognize previous chair, Dave Taylor, who has served relentlessly. It seems like he's actually been on the council for 50 years. But and I know that's not true, but he's been such a steady hand for the council. Some of you that are new members may not realize that Dave really led us through some challenging times, some long hours, as Ron and Eric and Evan knows, through some of the different grant meetings that we held. And so want to publicly acknowledge Mayor Taylor. He's also the mayor out of Fairview, Utah, and want to thank him for his service to the OHV Advisory Council. And Dave, actually, the position that he filled was the off-highway vehicle safety. So that will be a vacant position. And then but before I dive into that, the second person I want to publicly acknowledge as they near the end of their term cycle or their term limit, Cliff Coons. He's been with the advisory council for 8 years in conjunction. He and Dave came on together, and Cliff serves as an at-large representative. Both of their insight, intelligence, and steady hands, along with their calm nerves, will be missed and are personally cherished from myself, as I consider them dear friends, and look forward in as I said, moving towards 2021, an exciting time for that. So I'm just seeking some guidance from the council. In the past, these positions, what we've done is we've have announced those. Most of you that are on the council have gone through that public announcement, either through our social media platforms and or newspapers and or other media outlets, and have completed an application. So I'm seeking the advice from the council in regards to that. What we would like to do is very similar to what we've done in the past, which is announce it, close it through an application process, and then bring those applications for review, for a peer review, so to speak, with the existing council, and then have that council make a recommendation at the next regularly scheduled advisory council meeting.
So does that need to be an action item then for us to authorize you to go ahead and start that process? Or is that just a...
It doesn't necessarily have to be an action item, as long as the council supports what has previously been done and how the program has handled that historically in the past on promoting and recognizing those applications in the process that we have internally.
Of how it's been done is certainly helped us to get members of the council that are passionate and are
Is frozen for anyone else?
He's frozen. Wait, he's back. We lost you there for a minute.
Oh, did you lose me? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Did anybody else have any comments on that? I don't know what you heard and what you didn't, so I'll just repeat myself. That is, I think the precedent has worked well, the way that we've sought out applications for the advisory council. I think it's helped us to find advisory council members who are passionate about their sport and who are advocates for motorized use on public lands, and I support the process that Chris has laid out and the way he's done it in the past. Is there any other input?
Is this still currently being put out on YouTube right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the public comment the situation, the way it was done when I applied, was just fine. It worked well.
Great.
Any other thoughts? Chris, I think the council sounds like the council supports you and supports the process that about to find applicants. Would you like a motion and a vote, or would that be a action item on the agenda?
Yeah, we don't have it as an action item on the agenda. It was more or less just a discussion.
Yeah.
To garner and foster the support of how we previously have done that. If there's no objections to that, I will lay out a timeline for those that are on the council currently and those that might be listening and or watching off of YouTube. So I would suspect that shortly after the Thanksgiving holiday, that we would open it up for roughly about a 14-day window where applications can be submitted electronically. Applications or potential applicants would need to contact me after that has gone out. That announcement will go out not only on our division media outlets, which I believe we have like 132 different media outlets. Whether they pick it up or not, that's not something that we can control. We'll also post it through our social media platforms and various other methods that we currently utilize within our division.
Great. Well, thank you. Well, we're behind you, Chris, and sounds like the council supports that process 100%. We look forward to going through that. Before we go to our final item, which is to set for our next meeting and adjourn, I would just like to make a side comment that Rachel, I think I might be interested in buying you a Jeep poster to put on your wall there behind you.
That's rude. Don't like it? Amazon.
No, I love it.
I just redecorated. It's very, very neat now.
How should we do the date? When is our next deadline for applications? Is that January 15th?
Yes. I do not believe they've posted when the next State Parks Board meeting will take place.
Okay.
Have you heard any word?
It will probably be March, just because of the legislative session, either February or March.
Okay.
They usually seem like they typically run the second month of the quarter.
Okay.
But that's how it's usually has gone. But
okay.
Okay. So that's something to consider.
So how about if I think it's when maybe the council, we just give you a range of dates and you can send out a doodle poll or whatever the name of that poll is that we can all look at our and see how that works. Is that still appropriate way to deal with that? Okay.
That's fine. Are you guys thinking the end of January, early February? Or do you want to push it out a little bit more?
How much time would you like after the deadline to process the applications and do what you do? I know for my part, I don't need a whole lot of time. A week or two is about all I.
Yeah, so the 15th is a Friday. For what I have to do is I have to wait for them for our recommendations to be approved by the State Parks Board. All that I really do is I write up brief descriptions and kind of give them a breakdown of the applications that we've recommended. But ultimately, I'd still be waiting probably until the second week of March until they're approved before I can really start sending out fiscal assistance agreements or I could get them set up as vendors if they are not already set up, but the majority of it is going to have to be after it's approved.
So last week of January, first week of February would work for you?
Yes.
Okay.
I can send
Anybody
out
else have input? Yeah.
I'll make whatever time work you need.
If when during the winter months, can we potentially look at these online meetings still?
Yeah, I
Travel
think
gets a little bit awkward if middle of the winter.
I have a feeling that this will continue for a while. So, okay. Ron, if you want to, it looks like it's an action item.
Yeah. So I would accept a motion to have Rachel send out a poll to narrow down a date in the end of January, first week of February.
Thanks, Brody.
Second.
Okay. All right.
And those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. Sounds like that was unanimous. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Cliff.
Oh.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rachel.
Be safe out there. So, have a great night.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. See y'all. Be well.
Bye, guys. Oh.